In this video, I'll be test driving the Pulsar 150. This was purchased in 2003 July. The Pulsar 150 was launched in 24th November 2001. The original Pulsar 150. As you see, it comes with round headlights which were basic in nature. It comes with indicators also, the normal indicators. Now let's look at the suspensions. The suspension was telescopic fork 125 mm. Comes with 2.75 into 18 tire size with 240 as the brake size in the front. As I pan into the engine, this engine was 149cc air cooled and it came with 5-speed gearbox. It created a maximum power of 13 PS at 8500 RPM and a maximum torque of 11 Newton meters at 6500 RPM. This is the original exhaust which was still to date in mint condition. As you see, many of the bikes these days do not have such chrome plated As I come to the front, it comes with an 18-liter petrol tank, and these petrol tanks was later upgraded to a 14-liter with around 2-liter as reserves. It comes with the standard indicator system, as you see, left and right. Comes with a horn, and at that time this was something which was the low beam, the high beam, and you had the pass option. Now let's look at the cluster. Comes with your speedometer, with your kilometers and your tachometer, and it gives you the RPMs. Also, you get a fuel indicator which still works. And at that time there was something which they had really introduced, was the side stand. Right now it does not work, and since the parts are not available and has been discontinued for this model, this part is not available for me to fix it. And you see the high beam and the neutral. Whenever the bike is in neutral, this light turns on. As you see, it's in neutral, and you see that. Comes with a length of 2055 mm with a ground clearance of 168 mm, which is quite frankly really big. The 150 was extremely sophisticated at that time, which was launched in 2003. I found this very interesting bike, and a lot of people love this bike. Till date, a lot of people buy it. The height of it is also pretty high, 1008 mm, and which has a curb weight of 134 kgs. As I mentioned, the fuel capacity of the original was 18 liters, and I believe I had changed this petrol tank in around 10 to 12 years back, and I think it's now 14 liters with a fuel capacity of 14 liters and a reserve of I think 2.5 liters. The seat capacity is quite firm, and it is able to fit too comfortably. It comes with standard fittings. As I mentioned, this comes with a 149cc engine, and it is mated with a 5-speed gearbox, which is the shift which I prefer to date, having all down. Not the system which we have currently, 1 down, 4 up, but all down, and hitting this will bring it back. It also comes with a chain system, and it was provided with a chain cover that many bikes do not have, but you see a little bit of slight rusting, as this bike is over almost 20 years old. Now you see the suspensions. The suspensions used over here was a simple spring shock absorbers, which I had upgraded to the 2003 model, which came with nitrox. This was a double-sided 5-way shock absorber, which has adjustable shock absorbers, which I've never used. And now, as you see, this is 2.75 18s in the back, but I had upgraded this to 190 18s Michelin tires with wider grip on the road. And the major concern with this motorcycle with the standard tires were it always had this problem of skidding and slipping on rainy surfaces. So what we did was, when we purchased this bike, we had to change the tires because this bike had a couple of slips, and over the period of years we have got wider tires, and it actually was a better sense, but this reduces the fuel average. So now if you see, the fuel capacity which I mentioned was around 18 liters, and I was previously getting around 40s to 50s, and coming 2023 this bike would be 20 years old. So I thought I will make a video on it, as I would be wanting to move from this bike. So in my understanding, or in my 20 years of driving this motorcycle, I have had no complaints, and I feel that this was an amazing experience with this bike. Over the period of 20 years, I had good memories with it. I have many of my friends were able to drive this bike, and whoever is watching it, whoever has driven this bike, will always have fond memories with this bike. And as you know, as time and tide flies, and registrations and the green tax and all that has become more and more complicated, over the span of maybe a few months, I will be kind of dismembering this and trying to get rid of this bike in the couple of months. As I was trying to modify the bike and get it to its original condition, which I preferred, but because of parts not available, I was not able to do that. And in the badging also, this is not the original Pulsar. The original Pulsar had a blue logo, which is not the case in this. And most of the things have been upgraded. If you see this, the sticker came with this one, and DTSI was not the original preference. This is a single spark plug, and it comes with a kickstart. The funny thing was that we opted for the kickstart. We did not opt for the electric start. Pulsar 150 came with an optional electric start. If you see, there is a provision over here which was given. If you see that there was an option here, you could get the electric option, and you get that upgraded. And over the period of 20 years, we've been kicking, but it was a good memory. Also, just to point out that, you know, this bike, I would never be able to kickstart it in the first attempt. You'll see when I do the test drive. Now let's come back to the ride quality and the overall comfort feel of this. Since this is all down gear system, I believe this is the best system that can be offered to our current market, because we're not currently in a drag race or in a circuit system, right? We are currently driving it for work. We might be doing a little bit of off-roading, little bit of, you know, in the city limits. It doesn't make sense for companies and manufacturers to give that option of 1 down and 4 up. And I see that the gear system currently, which has been provided in many of the motorcycles these days, is the 1 down 4 up, which is quite confusing to me, because I still do not understand. If anybody can explain to me why that is, or some manufacturers give me the explanation of why people have been removing this one option, that you can remove this, and the 1 down 4 up concept, where you keep the neutral in between. There are some wide things that people tell that, you know, 1 down or and keeping neutral in the between keeps it for security reasons and safety measures. But I have been driving the Apache RTR 160 recently, and I found that is complicated and unnecessary. So now coming back to the thing, we have the fuel cutoff valve, which I've never actually put in a key or anything for safety measures. Many people do that, and as you see, this is a rare thing nowadays. We see these spokes, right? Spokes have been really good, and I like spokes because if you fall on potholes and stuff like that, this can always be fixed, and the cost of repairing is way cheaper than getting alloy wheels. If anybody says that alloy wheels look good, that's the only look factor, but I would prefer spokes over alloy any days. But that sadly, that's people would say it's living in the past. Now as you see, the rear is also basic tail light. You get basic indicators. Now let's start the beast up. So I finally start the bike. I got my DJI on. As you see, the ride quality on this is quite comfortable. The seating is amazing, and the ride position, especially what I like, is of this that you sit straight and you're not slouched into a racing position or not whatnot. And you see the turning radius is pretty good. I've never had any problems with that. As I'm driving, you might hear some wind noise, so bear with me as I take it across my neighborhood over here where I stay. As you see, the ride of it is quite comfortable, and as you grab it past, this is around 40-50, you will hear that noise of the engine, and it's quite a pleasant one, I must say. When I raise it, you hear that roaring noise, which is kind of satisfying. Now if you like my video, consider sharing and subscribing to my channel. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit the bell icon for future notifications.